Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Hi humans! Before we kick off the episode, a quick announcement. As you may have seen on our website or got first-hand experience at Origins Game Fair, Partial Arc is making a board game currently titled Mortals. If you'd like to learn more about the game and all of its ridiculousness, head to partialarc.com as we'll be releasing more info leading up to Gen Con this July. And finally, if you'd like to help us out, please consider hopping on iTunes and leaving us a rating and review. Any 5-star rating really helps people find the show and allows us to continue doing what we love. With that said, let's start the show.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 30. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the cold-blooded Mike Christensen. Oh man, you were a spider and now you've turned yourself into, what would you describe this creature as?
Cold-blooded, I think, is the only thing that you'll be able to understand from my anatomy.
You're a basilisk. That's why my arm is turning to stone.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I wanted to ease you into it. Right. Cold-blooded we start with, and then, by the way, now you're a statue.
Yeah, what is statue life like? I mean, what am I going to be experiencing here? Are you going to put me in any fancy museums? I mean, what is this going to be like?
If that makes you feel better to think that,
It does, secretly. I mean, inside I am crying and just terrified, but if you could, lull me into a nice sense of, maybe the Louvre, I hear they've got some open statue positions.
Yeah, you know what? We'll put you in, next to David. I'll knock down.
Right.
I know that's not in the Louvre, but we'll find David's statue, we'll knock it down.
I gotta call my parents. They would love to hear this.
It won't matter.
It won't matter, will it? Anyways, guys, so before I turn into a statue permanently and forever, we're going to talk about our polls as we do each week.
That's right. Every episode, 30 episodes now.
Yeah, 30.
We talk about the comics we're reading. Jay, what are you reading? What should we be reading?
Well, what you, and especially you, should be reading is this comic called Ei8ht. Now, 8 is not spelled in the normal way, and I know there's a theme going here.
Yeah, last time it was Dave.
It was Dave with a 4. This is 8 with an 8 instead of a G. So it's capital E-I, the number 8, H-T. Mm-hmm. And no, it is not about robots in the future that have killed all of mankind. 8 is written by Rafael Albuquerque and Mike Dodson, and it's drawn by Rafael Albuquerque. And it is so much fun. Okay, So this comic, if I was to pitch it, I would say it's like Stargate meets Memento meets Back to the Future, and they had a baby, and it was a very sexy monochromatic baby.
That's a lot of things I love.
That's a lot of things a lot of people do or should love. It's really great. I stumbled upon this comic accidentally, and where this comic kind of lays in right away what you're going to experience is when you first open the first page of issue 1, the first thing it does is it lays out the rules. It says, the past is green, the present is purple, the future is blue, the meld is something else entirely. And I was like, I want to read all of this immediately. And I mentioned monochromatic before because this comic, just with the rules in the front, it jumps back and forth through time. And to something called the meld, which I won't reveal. I know I'm bad about that, guys, but I won't reveal what that actually is.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, but this does a great jump back and forth between time, and it doesn't really give you, now in 1951, it doesn't do a time stamp. It just basically does the colors to show as it's jumping around, which is an amazing tool to kind of just thrust you into it. And what's really cool about this story is, I mentioned it's like Memento because we're starting with a character that has lost their memory. When the comic kicks off, it goes right into the action. You're right into the fray with a lot of crazy stuff going on, and you're catching up at the same time our protagonist is catching up. And he's lost his memory. He's in a strange land. He seems to be coming out of a spaceship or a pod of some kind, and he's just kind of figuring things out. He's even forgotten his name from the get-go. So right away, as this story progresses, and right now I think it's only a 5-issue total run. The 4 issues are out right now, so I consider jumping in, diving in, and catching up right before the finale releases.
Yeah.
I know I did. And because I couldn't stop reading it. But it's great because as the issues go along, like any great time travel, any Memento memory loss story, it plays with like the timey-wimey, like things happen at different times that have different payoffs while we're slowly being revealed why this character is here and why they're doing certain things. And so far, the team that has put this together has managed to mismatch all the different things pretty perfectly to make this a beautiful, wonderful, constantly engaging and questionable story.
Cool.
So, guys, without saying anything more because I don't want to reveal about the world, the characters, the plot, it is super fun and super inventive, and the art and the coloring is beautiful just because of those rules. So I highly recommend it. 8 by Rafael Albuquerque and Mike Johnson.
That sounds awesome.
All right, Mike, so what is your pull this episode?
My pull is, oddly enough, also a 5-issue miniseries that that ends later this month. I think it goes up at the end of June.
I think if we both do a 5-issue miniseries, pull Mike, the prophecy will be fulfilled, and then, well, you know what happens then.
It won't matter to you. You'll be stoned.
Oh, that's true.
My pull is Princess Leia from Marvel Comics. It's written by Mark Waid, who you and I are huge fans of.
I super love Mark Waid's stuff.
He's really great.
Yeah.
And the art is by Terry Dodson, who's also really, really good. And the comic, because it's part of the line of new Star Wars books that are coming out of Disney buying Star Wars and Marvel publishing them, and it doesn't tie into the same timeline. You know, the funny thing, you've reviewed Darth Vader, and there's the Star Wars series, and those two series intersect with each other.
They coincide, they loop in and out of each other.
They're sort of like loosely connected. You can read one or the other. If you read both, you can see where the lines are connecting them. Princess Leia actually picks up in the seconds after A New Hope.
Oh, really?
It starts with that ceremony and them saying, and let's take a moment of silence for Alderaan.
So,
okay, everybody, pack up the X-Wings. We gotta go. And then they all start packing up. And then the whole arc is about Princess Leia having to deal with the fact that she is not the last survivor of Alderaan. She is one of the last survivors of Alderaan. She is the last member of the royal family.
Right.
There are other Alderaan survivors out there.
Alderaanites?
Alderaanians, I think is what it is.
Okay.
And they are adrift now. You know, do we all of them know about Alderaan's destruction yet? You know, are some of them maybe secluded, or have some of them been, you know, involved in other things that they can't get to a safe place from the Empire? Because the Empire is cleaning up. The Empire is making sure that this message about the force and power of the Empire, which was diluted somewhat by their super weapon exploding,
by their giant Death Star blowing up,
their whole mission statement, or not mission statement, but their announcement.
It's probably on the mission statement, guys, that we kill rebels.
Well, no, their announcement was, you know, don't screw with us. Hey, Alderaan they were a peaceful planet and they didn't have any defenses. We blew them up because Princess Leia was screwing with us. Don't screw with the Empire. Hey, we blew up our super weapon. We're still gonna keep killing Alderaanians. Like, we want you to get this message.
Wow.
So she and actually an X-Wing pilot who doesn't really like her that much. Like, the X-Wing pilot, she's an Alderaanian as well, and she's very respectful of royalty and very much knows, like, her place in the Alderaanian society.
I have to bow at this time, or these are the specific manners to address a royal, but outside of that.
Which Leia has no patience for. She's not interested in any of that. She wants the honest opinion. Don't waste time with the bull crap.
She doesn't want the pomp and
I know
circumstance.
You don't like me, but we have, like I don't care about the ceremony, but this pilot, that's important to her because that's their culture. And that's all they have left because they don't have a homeworld anymore. So it's really interesting because they're going around the galaxy and they're, you know, going to fun locations and fun aliens and worlds and things. And that's the fun of Star Wars. But also you have this leftover thing where Leia bails on the rebellion. She's like, I will be back, but I have to go and be with my people right now.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because, you know, Mark Waid's great, Terry Dodson's great, and it's just a great series. And it's just Leia and R2 and this other Alderaanian pilot, and the three of them just going and kicking ass and taking names.
Well, that sounds amazing. And I definitely want to follow up with that. All right, well, that was our pulls, and that'll be taking us into our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Batman, A Death in the Family. In the late 80s, Batman had a new sidekick, a new Robin, and this was Jason Todd. Jason Todd took over after Dick Grayson. Jason Todd was the new one who Batman encountered when Jason Todd was stealing the tires off the Batmobile in an alley. Yeah.
Which is kind of impressive.
It is.
I mean, I don't know what the tire locks are on the Batmobile, but I have to imagine they're pretty comparable.
Yeah, at least, you know, he got through whatever. I don't know if there were a lot of defenses on it, but there was, you know, he was ballsy at the very least.
Right. And let's just imagine if he did go through with it, the phone call to Alfred, but like, Alfred, Someone stole the tires off the Batmobile. That's pretty...
You don't think Batman has a spare tire in the trunk? He has a helicopter in the trunk,
That's
Jay.
true, he has a helicopter. But that's the thing. I feel like he would think to put more of a helicopter in the trunk than an actual spare tire. Like, he would be like, I don't even know what people do in these scenarios. I have 50 vehicles.
But anyway, he took in Jason Todd because Jason Todd's mother was dead and his father was missing. It turned out later his father had been killed by Two-Face. He was a criminal, actually, who had fallen in with the even worse crowd and died on the job. But Batman turned him into Robin. And this comic takes place very shortly after. This is issues 426 to 429. Written by Jim Starlin, pencils by Jim Aparo, inks by Mike DeCarlo, and covers by Mike Mignola.
Oh, wow.
So it's a hell of a lineup on these books.
That's a great creative team.
And it opens with Batman and Robin tracking down a kiddie porn ring to a warehouse.
Okay.
It's the 80s. This is when they realized they could kind of do whatever they wanted. So Speedy, Green Arrow's sidekick, got on heroin.
Yeah, was doing heroin at that time.
And this is when you started embracing the edginess, and it wasn't yet tired and worn out. So it was also,
ooh, we could do this now.
Yeah, we can talk about these things. And this comic's gonna get real weird. And
so you're telling me Crazy Quilt isn't gonna make an appearance in this
in this one?
In these issues now?
I don't want to get into spoilers, but no Crazy Quilt in these.
Sad.
But anyway, they track these, pornographers to a warehouse, and they're waiting for their police backup, but Robin charges in ahead of schedule. Robin's reckless. Batman's exercising a lot more restraint as he takes down his thugs, the thugs that he's taking care of, and he scolds Robin for breaking protocol. That yes, they could take care of these guys themselves, but Batman promised to let Gordon in on the bus, and they sort of made a deal, I'll help you take these guys down, and you get to take them in and arrest them.
Right, you get the glory for the arrest.
Yeah, exactly. And when Batman says Robin almost got himself killed, Robin said, near misses don't count. And Batman asks, what do you think you're doing here, playing some game? Jason's response is, of course, all life's a game.
That's a good attitude.
Yeah, Batman talks to Alfred, and Alfred, yes, has also noticed a change in Jason's mood. He doesn't want to talk about his parents anymore, but Alfred does sometimes notice him taking time alone looking at pictures of them. And if he dodges the question anytime Alfred asks about it, hey, do you want to talk about it? No, man, I'm fine. And just isn't addressing it, and Batman realizes he may have made a mistake. He may have turned Jason into Robin before he could properly come to grips with his parents' deaths.
Right, too early. So now he's taking that vengeance out on criminals instead of dealing with it personally.
And he's been Robin for a little bit now, but there's been other moments where he's kind of crossed over to a darker place.
Right.
And Alfred says, being your partner is not exactly the best situation for a teenager adjusting to loss.
That's true.
Yeah.
Look, I know you're going through a lot of stuff, but here's a cape, here's an outfit. I live in a cave. I'm Batman. Let's go out and fight criminals.
Here's a
all day,
green
every day.
Speedo.
Yeah. There's a lot to absorb when you're a sidekick of Batman. I feel like you have to be pretty well adjusted even then at that point.
And there's a reason why Dick Grayson is the great one, because he's much better adjusted.
Yeah.
Batman decides to bench Jason. But Jason's been listening the whole time. He demands to have a say in it as well. It's his life. It's his decision. It should be.
I'm getting flashbacks to the Batman films, Batman and Robin, and Batman Forever.
There's some of that in there. Bruce insists that Jason just needs to have his head on straight for this line of work. You can't be sloppy when you're doing this. And he wants to help Jason deal with some of his anger and his pain. He asks Jason to talk about his parents, and Jason just storms out of the house. Meanwhile, Batman's called to Arkham Asylum. The Joker apparently got into household chemicals, and no one knew this was a possibility. He managed to brew Joker venom. No one thought that was a thing.
Really?
He was able to get into the household cleaners, he got into the janitor's closet, and left 8 people dead before he walked out the door.
So you can make Joker venom out of household cleaning supplies?
I don't think you and I can, but the Joker sure can.
Jeez.
Joker and his henchmen are getting ready to get out of the city. The whole city's after him, and he needs to get out and get back some of the capital the cops seized. Again, as the Joker says, the Joker knows when it's time to take a vacation.
That makes sense. It seems like the climate is right for going somewhere else.
Fortunately, he has something in storage he was saving to break the boredom of a future rainy day. My very own cruise missile.
What? He had a cruise missile in storage?
He had an army buddy who helped get it for him and kept it off the books. So he and his henchman Rupert are going to disassemble it and ship it to the Middle East.
Okay.
To sell it to some Arab terrorists.
What?
He plans to get into a new line of work where his skills will be better appreciated. In his words, something like international politics.
This story took a drastic turn from where I expected it to go.
Oh, just wait, buddy.
Oh my god.
Batman's chasing down leads on the Joker, but all of his goons seem to have left town all at once. Jason wanders the streets and he finds himself by his old home, one of his neighbors spots him and talks to him and says, hey, you know, I haven't seen you in a while. I actually have this box of your parents' stuff that I was holding on to. There was some water damage because it was in a room that flooded, but Jason takes the box of stuff home back to Wayne Manor. He goes through it and he finds his birth certificate. And the name of his mother is smudged thanks to the water damage, but it definitely doesn't start with a C. It's not Catherine Todd. It starts with an S, which means his mother wasn't his real mother. He goes through his father's address book, his little black book, and finds 3 women with names that begin with S. Sharmin Rosen works for the Israeli Secret Service. Shiva Wusan is a mercenary working out of Lebanon at the moment.
None of them are like down the street or old Betty down in the old Gotham.
And one of them, Dr. Sheila Haywood, doing relief work in Ethiopia.
Again, none of them nearby at all.
He doesn't want Batman's help or his permission, so he takes Bruce's credit cards and he just books a flight and goes off to look for these people.
Oh, God.
Batman puts it together that Joker had a cruise missile because he had a Geiger counter, so he got to the warehouse and he pulled it out. He's like, oh, that's bad. He's clearly taking it to Lebanon to sell it. He manages to track this down. He gets home and Alfred tells him that Jason's run away and Batman has to make a hard choice. Does he follow the Joker lead or does he go chase after Robin? And he makes a hard choice. He has to follow the trail to Lebanon. He has to follow Joker's trail.
Oh, boy.
But he gets the call from Alfred. Apparently Jason is in Israel for some reason that they don't know why, but he is. Jason tracks down his first candidate, Sharmin Rosen, the Secret Service agent, the Israeli Secret Service agent, to Beirut. Bruce is also in Beirut. Because comics.
Yeah, because he just happens to be there.
He's interrogating local criminals about the Joker, and he gets the name of a man, Peter Brando, who's helping sell the missile. And then the two of them run into each other. Jason explains what's going on.
Do they comically run into each other, like on the street? Like, you were going to the same cafe as me?
It's real close to that.
Oh my God.
It's real close to that.
Comics, what are you doing?
And they both find their targets, Peter Brando and Sharmin Rosen, walking arm in arm down the street.
What?
Their targets are together.
That's just so goofy.
So they follow the pair into the desert in bat hang gliders, so they look like birds from far away. And they find the Joker selling missile to terrorists.
Right.
The melee ensues, and Sharmin drops her cover to help in the fight. She was clearly trying to get close to this deal to take care of it from there. Peter Brando almost shoots her, and Robin steps in. He's about to be shot, and Batman has no way to save him. No way. But then Sharmin just judo throws Brando, and it's all fine. So,
nice.
So, you know, Robin's okay. Meanwhile, as the fight's going on, the terrorists set up the cruise missile to fire. Like, they have it. They might as well just use it now. They know their target is Tel Aviv, so they point it, and it just explodes right there in the desert.
What?
Don't trust the Joker to disassemble a cruise missile and put it back together.
He's like, I thought this would work like Joker Venom. It turns out you need a lot more to do this kind of stuff.
Fortunately, the warhead didn't detonate.
Oh,
that would have been super bad.
Yeah, that would have.
All the Joker's money burned up, though, so he just wanders into the desert.
Okay.
Sharmin's grateful, but Batman and Robin have only one question. Have you ever been to Gotham? Have you ever had a baby? She says no. She hasn't. She's not a mother. She doesn't have a kid. Batman and Robin follow Robin's next lead to Lebanon, and meanwhile, the Joker, with dark hair and peach-colored makeup skin, boards the flight to Ethiopia. That's issue 1.
A lot of stuff happens in issue 1, but they just left the Joker out in the desert? They didn't try to track him down or catch him?
They got other things to worry about, man. They got to go find Robin's mother.
They got to get on this harebrained, crazy adventure to find Jason Todd's mom.
Batman and Robin find out that Shiva, the woman Shiva, was apparently abducted by men in a van in Lebanon, and they track her to a terrorist camp. They beat up some terrorists to dress like them, and they sneak through the camp, taking down the terrorists one by one.
That works. You know what? That checks out straight up Batman.
That's
right
Batman
there.
stuff, yeah. Meanwhile, in Ethiopia, the Joker finds Sheila Haywood, the third candidate, who we're not on yet, and mentions that she fled Gotham due to illegal operations on teenage girls.
What?
We'll get more of that later in the series, but obviously this is something that she doesn't want known, so he blackmails her with it. She can give him 6 truckloads of medical supplies so he can sell them. She snarks that, you know, times have clearly been tough on him, and he says, just another victim of Reaganomics, I suppose.
He says Reaganomics?
It's super 1988, buddy.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, obviously she doesn't have a choice in the matter. So, meanwhile, Batman and Robin take down this entire camp of terrorists. They check the tents, Shiva's gone, and Batman's like, yes, this has been way too easy the whole time. These guys were not seasoned pros. This was a training camp. And just then, someone knocks out Robin. It's Shiva. Lady Shiva, as Batman knows her.
Oh, no.
You'd think they would have mentioned before now?
Yeah.
Because they've crossed paths before.
No.
This is the first time it's addressed in this issue and a half that, yes, she's a supervillain, too. Like, not she's a Ra's al Ghul style, like, she's a ninja kind of deal. She's not like the Penguin. But it feels like they would have mentioned this before this point.
Yeah, I feel like they would have as well.
Anyway.
Freeze who? Mr. Freeze. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Man a lot of Batman villains work that way.
Yeah, apparently.
She mentions that she was hired to train these terrorists, and she's only been training them for 3 days, so it's not on her that they're not good at this. In fact, Batman just highlighted all the points of their training that clearly need work, so she's very grateful for that.
She's like, hey, this is a great workshopping session. If you could come by in like 2 more weeks, we'll have another batch of guys.
She and Batman fight, and they're very evenly matched. His equal in martial arts. Robin wakes up, and he's not sure who to help, because there's, the man who's raising him and the woman who might be his mother, and he's not sure what to do. And then Batman knocks her out, and they tie her up, and they drag the Shiites into a ditch and blow up all the camp's ammunition. They interrogate Shiva and ask if she's ever had a kid, and she says, sure, dozens of babies. I've dropped litters in every corner of the globe.
What?
She's making fun of them. She's not answering directly. Okay. So Batman, revolted that he has to do this, injects her with some sodium pentothal, truth serum. And Batman's narration says, that's the biggest trouble with this line of work. You can't always get the job done and be a hero in your own eyes. So it's all about like torturing people for information, but with truth serum, which is weird that we're like, clearly this comic wants to talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it really wants to get a lot of things out there.
She admits she has not had a baby. Batman leaves her there to take care of herself. She's like, you're gonna leave me tied up? And he's like, yeah, you're not gonna be tied up in an hour. I know you. Like, you'll be okay. And she says their paths are gonna cross again. Robin admits that even though he wouldn't want a mother like Shiva, it's still disappointing. But they're off to Ethiopia for his last lead.
Well, really, you should be happy. He's got a pretty good confirm that it's probably going to be her.
Yeah, it seems like it. The people in Ethiopia, unsurprisingly, have it pretty rough. Bruce's narration laments, when I return to Gotham, I'll send out another check to help the relief effort and try to forget what I've seen here. I'm no different than anyone else. There's only so much even Bruce Wayne and Batman can do. So yeah, there's a lot they want to talk about in 1988.
To be fair, though, Bruce Wayne and Batman do both a lot of things.
They do.
Rebuilding cities and stopping Armageddon most of the time. So I don't know.
Bruce and Jason find Dr. Haywood, and they know instantly. She has Jason's eyes. It's very clear. They reunite, and Bruce gives them some time alone. He goes off to, just talk to other people.
That's nice.
Yeah, and they catch up, and she admits that, she got in trouble for assisting on a botched operation. That's what was going on.
Oh, okay.
She had to leave his father. He was supposed to follow once she got set up in England, but then he fell in love with someone else, and she decided it was best for them to raise Jason themselves. She didn't have the money or any hope of winning a custody battle because of the circumstances, and it'd be too rough on Jason anyway. Then Sheila notices the clock and ushers Jason out so she can deal with some camp business she can't get out of. And as he leaves, he passes the Joker. Right. I mean, he's in makeup, but it's the Joker.
This is a super large, comically huge grin.
Very long face.
Yeah, and he's also probably someone Jason Todd at this point has punched a few times or has been punched by.
He saw him earlier this week.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, weren't you selling cruise missiles to terrorists?
Yeah. So he eavesdrops on the tents, and he finds out about this plan to steal the medical trucks. He follows them to a warehouse. And the Joker reveals he's not just stealing the medical supplies, he's replacing them on the trucks with dummy boxes full of Joker gas that will go off once her bleeding heart social workers open the boxes. Each box is enough gas to cover 4 acres. His contribution to the war on hunger is less mouths to feed.
Wow.
Yeah, he's super evil, you guys.
Super dark. It's weird to see Joker become like a James Bond villain in this story.
It is a little bit.
Because usually it's like, everybody be scared and Gotham is on fire sometimes.
I mean, he's done some horrible,
he does mostly horrible things, but this is just very strange. It's very political, motivated, and it's very weird for the Joker.
It's getting weirder.
Oh, God.
Jason runs off to get Bruce, and they head to the warehouse together. They arrive just in time to see Joker's trucks leaving with the supplies. They unload the collapsible minicopter.
It's still in there?
They don't call it the Whirly Bat here, but they do still have a Batcopter. And
well, look, this is a story about terrorists and feeding the hunger. They can't also throw in something called the Whirly Bat.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that they still can, but that's comics in a nutshell.
I mean, I would always want the Whirly Bat in every story. We are comics.
We are in that era of comics where they are stripping away all of the silly. So, in one page, 3 times Batman says, stay put, keep an eye on the warehouse, don't do anything until I get back, don't tangle with the Joker alone, stay here until Batman gets back. And Jason agrees, until Batman leaves. And then he thinks to himself, sorry, Bruce, but that's my mother in there with that lunatic. He finds her outside the warehouse smoking to, I assume, calm her nerves, because she just figured out that there's going to be a tiny genocide.
Yeah.
And it's not really a genocide because he doesn't care who's affected, but it's pretty clear who it will be affecting.
Which means her sad story's going to have to change. It went from a botched operation to, well, this one time in a jungle, I might have led to the deaths of thousands of people.
Ethiopia's not a jungle, it's a desert.
Right, that's true. So in a desert led to deaths of millions of people.
Yeah, awful. But, he says he knows what's going on and he can help, and he reveals that he's Robin, and he suits up, he pulls off his clothes and puts on the mask. So she leads him inside, and he warns her about going inside, but she says, no, it's okay. The Joker is gone. She leads him directly to the Joker, and Robin says, but you said, and she pulls a gun on him. And she says, I lied. You see, I can't afford to have you stirring up trouble. I've been dipping into the medical funds myself, and if you blow the whistle on the Joker, then the ensuing investigation would surely uncover my embezzling.
Oh, no. But wait, is she actually his mom?
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
So the Joker takes this opportunity to do something he's wanted to do for years, and he beats up Robin. Then he grabs a crowbar to finish the job, and he beats Jason Todd to a pulp.
Oh, my God.
Batman, meanwhile, laments that he left Robin at the warehouse. He's got a bad feeling. He knows that, well, if he sent Robin after the convoy, he wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have left his mother. So he didn't really have a choice. He drops down, he stops the truck, he explains what's going on, don't touch the boxes, wait for the army, and then he rushes back to the warehouse. Back at the warehouse, Joker doesn't want any evidence of his presence if he doesn't want Batman to find out it was him. So he ties up the only witness, Sheila.
Oh, no.
He ties her up inside the warehouse and he leaves a bomb next to her. That way, even with the laughing gas connecting him to this region, there won't be any absolute evidence that he killed Robin, that it was him. He says, that's one of those fascinating aspects of the Batman. The righteous boob insists on solid evidence before going Nova. She's left with a 10-minute timer. And he leaves. Batman sees the Joker leaving, but he continues to the warehouse to save Jason because he's got this really bad feeling.
Right, he knows something's
wrong. Jason wakes up. He's still alive. He's got 2 minutes on the timer left. He unties Sheila. She rushes for the door. He's barely able to stand up at this point.
She doesn't even go back to help him?
He collapses, and she rushes for the door to get it open for them, and it's locked.
Oh, no.
And the bomb goes off. Batman is just outside, and he watches the building collapse in flames.
But it didn't have 2 minutes left? Or just
it had 2 minutes left, but it's 2 minutes. The door's
jarring
locked,
the door, and then it just goes off.
And we cut to the bomb going off. And the back cover, this is where things get real weird. The back cover says, Robin will die because the Joker wants revenge. You can prevent it with a telephone call. There were 2 phone numbers.
What?
Fans had September 15th and 16th to make the call.
2 days?
Yeah, because you had to read things very quickly. It was like 3 days. You're telling me
this comic issue ended with a choose-your-own-adventure option for the audience, and one was death by son whose mom was terrible, or you're going to leave him to die, or, yeah, save him, of course.
Yeah.
And people took the bad option?
By 19 votes, I think. And issue 428, the third issue, opens with Batman shifting through the rubble. Meanwhile, he's reflecting on his time with Jason, and we're catching up on his backstory for anyone who wasn't sure that this was the new Robin, that this wasn't Dick Grayson.
Yeah. For anyone just picking up being like, Death of Robin? What?
Yeah, exactly. He finds Sheila, who manages to explain what happened as she lies dying. She says that Jason tried to save her at the last moment. He threw himself in front of the blast, and then she dies. And he finds Jason's body, and there's no pulse. Robin's dead. And there's that moment of him cradling the body in his arms, which is, is in the show notes, guys. It's powerful. Meanwhile, the Joker sells the medical equipment to Iran.
Okay.
And ends up getting a meeting with the Ayatollah.
Dude, what?
Who offers the Joker a government job.
What is happening right now?
Bruce strips the evidence off of Robin, changes him into, Robin clothes, strips back into Bruce's clothes, and answers the army's questions very patiently, tells them as much of the truth as he can, arranges to fly the bodies, both of them, back to the States. He follows the lead on the Joker, but he's 24 hours late to this warehouse where he's been selling the medical supply to Iran. He gets there and all the bodies are dead. All the Joker's men are there with Joker smiles. And written on the wall in blood is B, see you at 42nd and 1st, J. Back in Gotham, they have a very small ceremony for Jason. Nobody knows Robin is dead. He can't reveal that information because obviously if Robin dies and Jason Todd dies at around the same time,
it's going to tie
there's no point to have a secret identity at that point. So it's just Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, and Barbara in a wheelchair. Batman does some research to see where the Joker wants to meet, where this message is for. But he does some research with 42nd and 1st. In Gotham, 42nd and 1st is just an ordinary street corner with a couple delis and a department store. In Metropolis, 42nd and 1st is 2 parking lots, another deli, and an office building. In New York City, it's United Nations Plaza.
Okay. So, when you said government job, you meant he got a job at the UN?
Hang on. Batman shows up at the UN, and he's confused. Why is he here? What's Joker planning? What is Joker trying to do? What is his mission here?
Oh, God.
And he's planning on making this the final fight between the two of them.
Oh, in the UN building.
Wherever it happens. With this fight with Joker, this has got to be where it ends.
This is it. Oh, wow.
Then Superman shows up, and he says the State Department asked him to drop by because they guessed Batman would be here. The Iranian government informed them that Batman might cause some trouble. Superman isn't sure how to say it, but Iran has a new ambassador.
Oh my God. Seriously? What is their screening process like over there?
And that man now has diplomatic immunity. Not just for his current crimes, but for any previous crimes. And if they don't honor Iran's rights, they might as well forfeit their own. Superman tells Batman, go home. And then Batman keeps shouting at Superman, tell him who the ambassador is. Tell me who the ambassador is. He throws a punch even. He thinks he might have broken some of his knuckles. Superman says, no, you didn't. You're fine. And sure enough, the car pulls up with the Iranian ambassador, and Batman still can't believe it when the Joker pops out in a tuxedo and one of those Iranian head coverings and says, it's true, guys, I'm the Iranian ambassador to the UN. It's your heart's out.
Is he still in, like, full Joker outfit? Like, is the green hair, the white skin?
Yes.
Like, he's not covering it or anything?
No.
So they're just like, yeah, the Joker's our UN ambassador. That's outrageous.
Issue 429 opens with the State Department in this, room explaining to Batman, and Superman stands behind him, that if he harms the Joker, he'll cause an international incident. Batman says the Joker is a homicidal maniac, and they only made him the ambassador so he could kill someone, probably the entire UN assembly. And then they can say, oh, it's okay, it's the Joker, we couldn't have known, or something like that,
I feel like, but they could have known. They would and should have known.
But he's told they have no hard evidence of that. They have to treat him like any other delegate. If Batman misbehaves, Superman will slap him down. Batman says, is that how it is? Superman says, I'll do what I have to do. This comic is very heavily playing off the themes of Dark Knight Returns.
I was going to say, yeah.
Because
where Superman's very much a government...
stooge, really, in that comic.
And, I mean, I hate to say it, but, like, even so in this, I mean, the Joker is, like, as Superman, you got to be like, oh, yeah, this is, like, bad. We need to stop this.
He's here on behalf of the government, to make sure Batman doesn't do exactly what they're saying, an international incident. So they definitely want us to think that we're about to see another Superman-Batman fight, just like in that comic.
This is escalated in a crazy fashion.
Superman says he heard about Jason's death, and he asks, was that Robin? And, yes. So he gives him his condolences. Obviously, I'm so sorry, Bruce. Batman says the Joker murdered him, but the only evidence I have is a deathbed confession. That's not enough for a court of law. Even if Joker didn't have diplomatic immunity at this point, it still wouldn't be enough. Superman tells Batman not to do anything stupid, and Batman throws Superman's words right back at him, I'll do what I have to do. That night, Bruce Wayne calls a federal contact. He manages to get himself a seat at the assembly the next day.
Wait, Batman did?
Bruce Wayne does.
Oh, Bruce Wayne. I guess I could see that happening.
As an unofficial observer. But he knows that the next day is going to be his final showdown. And he's like in a tux at this point, or like, even though it's the night before, he's like in Bruce Wayne clothes. The Batman costume's laid out on the bed, like a suit for the next day.
Okay.
But he knows this is going to be his final showdown with the Joker. He always knew it would come down to this. One of them is going to have to die. And he asks himself if he wants that to happen. This man is insane. How can Bruce hold him responsible for what he did to Jason? Or is that a cop-out? He's come close to killing Bruce dozens of times, and he looks at the Batsuit laid out on the bed, thinks maybe it's time to let Superman handle it. The Joker murdered Jason. Cut to Bruce's normal clothes laid out on the bed.
Oh, wow.
The Joker's in the Iranian mission up late. He's rumored to be an insomniac, getting ready. The speech will be tomorrow evening. Since they're afraid of the Joker, they're limiting attendance. No one's going to be allowed in the gallery.
Right.
Joker laments that he won't have an audience beyond the delegates. He loves dead crowds.
Oh, jeez.
His advisor nervously leaves, and Batman arrives through the window, as he does, and gives Joker one last chance. Surrender yourself to Arkham. Joker says he'd love to have seen Batman's face when he found Robin's body. Or maybe he'd be glad to be rid of the little darling. He doesn't know.
Jeez.
Batman does thank him, because until this moment he wasn't absolutely 100% certain that Joker killed Jason. And yes, he does say Jason.
Oh.
But Joker's confirming it is what makes what Batman has to do so much easier. Joker pulls out a gun, but Batman's gone, and Joker says, I hate it when he does that. But he does make life worth living. I'm all a tingle. Won't be able to sleep a wink. Can't wait until tomorrow night. Bruce is in the audience at the UN Assembly, and the Joker enters. He's in the flowing robes, and the two of them make eye contact.
Flowing robes?
Yeah, it's very, he's in the...
He's showing it up. He's going the full nth degree, I guess.
And he makes eye contact with Bruce. Long eye contact. Intense eye contact.
And I mean, if he knew it was Jason, I have to imagine he put the 2 and 2 together.
Bruce, stone-faced, Joker, just frozen smile. And then Joker just laughs and finishes walking to the podium, and he starts his speech. It is a great honor for me to be here tonight. I am proud to speak for the great Islamic Republic of Iran. That country's current leaders and I have a lot in common. Insanity and a great love of fish. But unfortunately, we also share a mutual problem. We get no respect. Everyone thinks Iran is the home of the terrorist zealot. They say even worse things about me, would you believe? We both suffered unkind abuse and belittlement. Well, we aren't going to take it anymore. You'll no longer be allowed to kick us around. In fact, you won't be able to kick anyone around ever again. And he whips off his robes and says, say goodnight, Gracie. And he's got gas canisters strapped to his body.
Oh, jeez. Well, something we all knew what was going to happen.
He fills the room with Joker gas. And the security guard sucks it up all into his lungs because it's Superman.
Hell yeah.
Superman flies off. He's got this really dumb fake mustache on. It's great.
Is it falling off, like, comically?
No, it's just like his shirt is open, but he's still got the fake mustache on from his security department.
Right.
I wonder if anyone has any idea who it is, because no one can tell when you change your face in DC.
No one can.
But he flies out and he tells Batman, take care of him. And he goes off to get the gas somewhere safe, because he obviously has to get
blow it out somewhere,
away
right.
from civilization.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Joker turns to Plan B, bombs all over the room.
Oh, God.
And he activates them, and the room is thrown into fiery chaos.
So just bombs just blowing up under benches and desks and...
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, that's what happens. But Batman's on his trail. Joker shoots at him and kills a nearby delegate, and Joker runs out to the roof, hopping into his leaving helicopter. Batman jumps inside as it leaves, and one of the Joker's goons opens fire, shoots wildly, shooting anyone, including the Joker. One of them hits the Joker in the gut. Batman actually seems to dive in front of the path. He takes one in the shoulder, and he's almost blocking his body as he's, diving across the helicopter.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know whether that was conscious but it's definitely in there.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I like it.
It's almost like a reflex. It's just been something he's been doing forever.
I almost read it that way, or if he's just tumbling because the helicopter is tumbling, because also the pilot takes one in the head.
Oh, no.
And the helicopter's going down. Batman dives into the water as the Joker just sits there with a gut shot and chuckles, and the helicopter crashes into a building on the waterfront and explodes. Superman shows up and fishes Batman out of the water, and Batman just shouts, "Find his body! Find his body!" But Batman's voiceover reads, as they stare at this burning building, he says, "But I know they won't. That's the way things always end with the Joker and me. Unresolved."
That's crazy.
There was a movie a couple years ago called Under the Red Hood that starts with the death of Jason Todd, but it's much streamlined. It's just...
it gets to the point of him getting killed.
Yeah,
it doesn't throw any... Joker goes to sell bombs internationally.
It's the crowbar, it's the warehouse, it's the bomb.
Yeah, it's very much that.
There's no
point.
mother.
No.
And there's no Iranian government.
God, that's a crazy, crazy story. I mean, I knew... I thought I knew a good amount of that story, and I knew maybe 1% of it. I was I know there's a warehouse and a crowbar, and Jason Todd dies.
Yeah.
I did not know that people voted on it by phone.
That was the only other thing that I knew about it before going into this. That I knew.
By the way, that's crazy. Imagine reading a comic right now, and reading it and knowing, you decide... that, and a lot of time it's interesting because some people have very strong personal connections with these characters, especially characters they follow for a while. But imagine sitting there and thinking to yourself, not only do I have control over this, but somebody else I don't even know could kill one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
And that's real. That can really get to you. That's
especially
really
for people
terrifying.
Who didn't necessarily know that this was the new... When they were hearing about the death,
Right.
They didn't necessarily know this was not Dick Grayson, the person they'd grown up with, if they didn't still read comics.
They might have thought it was Robin.
To find out that there was a vote that killed Robin, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
And, they got letters and death threats and things, obviously. And, how crazy is it, too? Now that would be impossible.
Yeah.
Because of the rate that you have to make comics. You have to be a few months ahead.
Mm-hmm.
This obviously wasn't the case at the time.
And they probably also had, alternate endings, potentially.
They would have had the artwork at least
I guess
for the... They would have
not necessarily, because that whole rest of the story spirals out of Batman wanting hardcore revenge for Jason getting killed.
Yeah.
So, I guess you couldn't really do that.
Yeah, I
guess it could have been him in a hospital bed or something like that.
But it wouldn't have been such a...
It wouldn't have been such a big confrontation that it turned out to
righteous justice to like go after him like that. You know?
And it's not like even like it was terrible to kill Jason Todd. I think for that story, you do have to have like a big choice like that.
But that's also how we know the story,
right? But I think that's terrifying to give the audience the choice to me, just because it does mean that there was a chance for it not to happen, and I just feel bad for those people. You said 19 votes. That means there were so many people just like, no, don't kill Jason Todd.
I don't remember. I think I heard that in a documentary once. It may not be 19, but it was something
close. I mean, that's close
tight
enough. You know, there weren't 20 people sending in letters. That's such a crazier story than I thought it was.
It really is.
Joker is the UN ambassador? What?
I don't think he is anymore.
Well, obviously. Although, yeah, did he ever relinquish that position? Guys, let's bring the Joker back as the UN ambassador. But
I'm sure Iran issued a statement.
Yeah, probably did. All right, guys. Well, that was our main segment, and that'll take us right into our game, Who Am I? Who am I? All right, this is our game segment, Who Am I?
Kite Man.
It's not Kite Man, but good guess.
That was 16 episodes ago.
Yeah, that was a long time.
It was.
But in our game segment, Who Am I will hold in my mind the name of a hero, villain, or anti-hero, and through a series of 20 questions, Mike will have to figure out who I am keeping from him.
We keep some restrictions on it, so it's Marvel or DC.
Never Kite Man.
We keep it down to Marvel or DC so I don't go crazy. Like, what? I've never read Savage Dragon. Who's Star?
Exactly.
Whatever it is. I also have lifelines in case I get stuck. I can ask for either a quote the character said or might have said, or an event from that character's life. Because again, comics are bananas.
They are ridiculous, as we've just already seen. Joker was a UN ambassador. Anyway, so Mike, what is your first question?
Marvel or DC?
It is Marvel.
Okay. Hero, villain, or anti-hero?
Hero.
Male, female, or neither?
Female.
Great. Female Marvel hero. Let's go ahead and eliminate some candidates. Is this character a member of any other minority? I'll say, ethnic or religious.
No.
Okay, so let's go ahead and narrow down some more. Is this character a mutant?
Yes.
Alrighty. Has this character ever had a period of their life you would consider to be a supervillain period?
I would say they've had some supervillain moments, which is so weird for X-Men characters.
That's literally a quote from Kieran Gillen's Uncanny X-Men.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Storm turned to a room of Scott's powerhouse team and said, has anyone here other than me ever not been what someone would consider to be a supervillain? And no one else raised their hand.
Right, yeah. So I would say yes, there was a time where you could consider this character was not so great.
Okay. I have a question that wouldn't help.
Okay, perfect. That's a great one.
Well, actually, hang on. Is this character a member of any teams other than an X-Men team? So, I mean, is this character... I don't want to ask if this character's been on an X-Men team, because there's so many X-Men teams.
I was going to say, there's like a billion sub-teams.
So, not counting one of the X-Men families, has this character ever been a part of something, for example, Avengers or Runaways or Young Avengers, something like that?
No, this character is not.
Okay. Has this character ever been a member of an X-Men team?
Yes.
Felt like an easy one, but had to get it out there. Now the dumb question.
Sure.
Does this character have a ridiculous accent?
This character does have a ridiculous accent.
Yeah, that didn't help that much.
I'm sure it didn't.
X-Men characters from the Claremont period, particularly, all have ridiculous accents.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily ridiculous, but definitely an accent.
Oh, but not a ridiculous accent. No, it doesn't help really.
No, it shouldn't.
I have someone in mind. I have two people in mind, so I'm going to go ahead and ask for let's do a quote.
All right, so the quote is, "Leave me alone, brother. I'm no longer your little snowflake."
Yeah, that's exactly who I thought it was going to be. 100%.
Who is it?
It is not Rogue, because if since you said it's not a ridiculous accent, we had to rule out Rogue, because
that's
Rogue's
true.
accent
Rogue does have a ridiculous accent.
Is ludicrous.
Yeah, that's right.
So that left really only one major candidate, and that was Ileana Rasputin, a.k.a. Magic.
That's correct. That's who it is.
Who got her powers from going to a hell dimension for most of her puberty.
Yeah, she was in there. She was actually, fun fact, she was trained by Storm.
Yes.
And Kitty Pryde.
An alternate future version of Storm who was a sorcerer.
She was a sorcerer, not magic. Well, she was in the dimension. She can't use Storm powers.
Yes.
So she instead taught herself white magic.
Yeah.
And then Kitty Pryde was there, but Kitty Pryde was like a cat version. Like, she really leaned into that cat persona. Crazy crazy stuff happened in this.
Yeah.
It's called Limbo, is actually
Yes.
the hell dimension she was in.
And she's she's now the ruler of Limbo. And
Yeah,
she
she
has,
is.
like, a sword made of her soul, a soul blade, I
Yeah, it's like a
believe.
soul blade. What's super funny is she was in Limbo, I think, for almost exactly 7 years, and she's the ruler, which is almost like the actual rule of eminent domain. Like, she was just there long enough that she's like, oh, I own this place now.
It's funny.
I rule it.
And she's, she has this other personality, the Dark Child persona.
Yeah, there's
that,
there's a lot of stuff going on with magic,
she's
guys.
weird. What was your event?
Oh, my event was she once snapped the neck of Kitty Pryde in Limbo.
Yeah, that would have really left that, yeah.
Pretty much on the table.
I only know
you had
that.
a feeling it was magic? Yeah.
I had a feeling it was magic.
For me, she's...
And because she doesn't have a written Russian accent, like, I know she has an accent, but it's not written out.
Exactly, that's the thing. That's when you said ridiculous accent, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, no, she has an accent, but it's not ridiculous. It's not like Gambit level accent.
Yeah, that
which is an Omega level accent, if people didn't know that. Gambit is an Omega level accented character.
I think his accent is sentient.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it can control the Phoenix Force. All right, guys.
That legitimately wouldn't surprise me.
Not at all. All right, guys, so that was episode 30 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at partialarc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for listening, and remember...
Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
I really thought you were going to say everything changed when M. Night Shyamalan came along and took the franchise.
No, nothing changed because we all just moved on.
We all just forgot about it.
No, we didn't forget. We didn't forget, and we didn't...
never forget.
We never forget, and we never forgive.
Because comics...